If you must.
But we're going to go with Franz Joseph's wife.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Franz Joseph, his whole thing was he was just all about duty in his country, like he was the emperor, right? All the way down to his soul, right? And his mother decides that it's time that he should be married. And Franz Joseph never disobeys his mother. This is a thing. It's weird. And it is pervasive. Okay. She was the one who essentially made him emperor, right? She was the one behind the scenes, pulling all the strings, conniving with other people. She pretty much makes him emperor, and he is a good son and always listens to his mother. And so she decides it's time for him to be married, and she sends him to her sister's house to marry one of her daughters.
Oh, okay.
You know, because cousins and whatnot.
Oh, this again.
This again and always, Mike. And so he goes and she says, go marry Helen. I think there might have been some pronunciation thing like Helena or something, but you know, go marry Helen. She is a nice, proper girl. Go marry your cousin Helen. And he goes and shows up at Helen's house and sees her younger sister Elizabeth. And it is love at first sight on his part.
Oh, dang it.
And by the way, she's like 15 at the time. It's really creepy. But
of course she is.
Of course she is. That also happened. There's just no way around it. There was a lot of creepiness. But in his defense, he absolutely did love her and stayed devoted to her their entire lives.
Well, that's actually kind of rare for royalty.
No, he was, or for her entire life. He outlived her.
Okay.
But yes, no, it really was a love story. He really did love her. And he was emperor, so she married him.
Okay.
Not a lot of reason to believe that she was really as infatuated with him. Especially since she was never really going to be the one to marry into royalty. And so she and her dad, she had this really cool dad who would like interrupt her lessons on etiquette and everything and just, you know, take her out on adventures and horse riding. He was just this awesome father. The problem is now she's suddenly Empress of Austria. And all those lessons she missed, now kind of important, right? She's been off having adventures and just having fun with dad, and now she's empress, and now she's making all these mistakes that make her look like an idiot, most of all to her mother-in-law, the Archduchess Sophia.
Oh, boy.
So her mother-in-law thinks that she is an idiot and worse for not knowing all the social niceties, and takes it upon herself to control every part of this young lady's life, to the point that when they had their first child, a daughter, Sophia shows up, takes the child from the mother, names it Sophia, and departs with the baby. Like, straight gone, not, I'll bring it back. No, you don't get this baby, my baby, and leaves.
Oh, I have questions.
That's it. And she, of course, is heartbroken, says to her husband, can you do something? Like, I mustn't disappoint mother, right? He will not go against his mother. Okay?
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
Yeah. No, it's it's crazy creepy.
Wow. Okay, so
no, we're not done yet. We're just gonna keep this going because there is just so much.
Hey, you're wrecking my world right now. Okay. You're telling me that like the bad fairy tales are actually true.
Yes. The Prince Charming sees the beautiful younger sister, whisks her away. They get married.
There's an evil mother-in-law in this case, not a stepmother, who takes the baby and runs away with it.
Straight up takes the baby.
Off to a tower, I can only assume.
We don't know. It was just away. She was
Wow.
Elizabeth, at this point known as Cece, was not allowed to see her daughter.
Cece?
Cece, that is how she is known throughout.
Short for Elizabeth.
Yeah, there's another whole language thing.
Okay.
It makes sense in the Austrian. Okay. She has a second child, which is also harvested by Sophia. Okay.
Okay. Also named Sophia, I assume.
Crap, I forgot. Giselle or something like that. Okay.
Okay.
Sadly, she does not show up in the history books past that.
What did Sophia do with her then?
Well, at this point, Sophia starts to get even more irritated with Cece.
Because two girls.
Right?
Okay.
And even leaves a pamphlet in her room anonymously in
Gross.
Cece's room that a empress unable to produce a male heir was not worthy of her station. Okay.
Great.
Cece starts breaking down mentally. Okay. She is prone to these deep depressions.
Why?
And it's awful. Okay. Her life is just a nightmare, never-ending nightmare because her mother. But then she has a son, and it is Rudolph. And having produced a male heir, she actually gets some power.
Okay.
Okay. Being
Yes!
now the Empress Mother, she actually gets a little bit of clout herself, but she retains some bitterness towards Vienna, Sophia, and generally Austria in general.
Why?
You know, moodiness or whatever. Anyway, and so she starts hanging out in Hungary.
Cool.
Which Hungary was part of the Austrian Empire, but they didn't want to be. They tried to win their independence. They had been crushed by Franz Joseph, and were generally seen as these unhinged, unstable rebels.
The Huns, if you will.
The Huns, absolutely. And Cece starts learning Hungarian, hanging out in Hungary, having Hungarian friends, and just generally buddying up with the Hungarians, which actually turns out great, because later when Austria gets its butt kicked by Otto von Bismarck, which would also be a whole thing, all of a sudden things start to fall apart as Hungary again wants independence, and because of Cece, they managed to bring it together and form the Austro-Hungarian Empire. They agreed to grant Hungary its own kingdom as long as Franz and Cece are their king and queen. And so she becomes Elizabeth, Queen of Hungary, because she is so beloved by the Hungarians. They still kind of hate Austria, but they like her.
Okay, so Hungary now sort of has independence.
Yes, and it becomes the
it's still
Austro-Hungarian Empire. That's what it came from.
Instead of just Austrian.
Yes,
now
they're now equal partners.
Austro-Hungarian, and you have Franz Joseph, Emperor of Austria.
And King of Hungary.
And her Queen of Hungary.
And Empress of Austria.
And Empress of Austria. So, same people in charge, but kind of compartmentalized.
Yeah, they were actually able to have a little bit more self-governance and things like that. And kind of this idea that they were now partners, and if things really came down to it, a couple generations could split off. You know,
cool.
It was a notable concession made possible by Cece. And, you know, she has her son now, Rudolph, and he is just awesome. He is the classic crown prince, and he's great and takes after his mother, and she's managed to save the empire by bringing Hungary in, and it's just an amazing story.